Yo, what is good? It's your boy B Moore, joined by my co-host Rustin Stewart, and welcome to season 2 of the From New York to the Chi podcast. Russ, another season, man. How you doing? What's good?
B, can you repeat that? Did you say season 2?
Season 2 of the From New York to the Chi podcast. We made it to 2 seasons, Russ. We did it.
We made it. And we have listeners.
We got listeners.
That's awesome, y'all, man. Damn, I can't believe it. But, this has been going on for the whole year. Me and Brian started this podcast at the end of November 2020. And here we are in August, still doing the damn thing. So congratulations, B, man.
Thanks, man. You too, man. And it was a much needed break, man. A much needed break. I think we broke at the perfect time. So what's been going on with you? What have you been doing? What's anything new, in the 3 weeks, that we've been, or the month that we've been gone?
I'm finally at a place, B, where I'm settling in to Miami life. It's becoming home. I went to Kansas City for a week to visit my parents. And I think that's when you really feel like a new place is home, is when you're flying back in to that respective city and you're like, I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real.
So flying, because for so many years when I left Kansas City, I was flying back to New York City. And it took a while for New York City to really feel like home, because I always thought, like, if things didn't work out, I could always go back to Kansas City. And then probably like around year 9, year 10, I'm like, no, New York City is home. It takes a little longer in New York, as you can imagine. But just settling into Miami, have a nice workout routine. I met a nail tech at the salon that I go to, because I got to get my pedicures and manicures. So I started doing a class with them. So she brings like 2 of her friends, and now I'm doing an outdoor fitness class here in Miami at Flamingo Park, for everybody that's familiar with South Beach. So I'm just doing the damn thing, man. What you been up to, man, in that 3 weeks?
Nothing much, man. Really just been relaxing. Not too much, but a lot has happened, though. I want to give congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the NBA championship. They defeated the Phoenix Suns, and I gotta eat crow, because I said on this show that I did not believe that Giannis had what it took to be a champion, and I gotta give it to the young guy. I was dead wrong. So congrats to him. Congrats to Chris Middleton. And a lot of people were talking about Chris Middleton, saying that they didn't think that he was a legit number 2. I didn't watch a lot of Milwaukee Bucks basketball, but when I did, I looked at Middleton and I was like, I think he's real. Like, I believed more in him than I believed in Giannis. And a lot of people realized that he was a real number 2. He had some big shots down the stretch. And once again, congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks, because they really came through, especially being down 0-2 against Chris Paul and Devin Booker and a very tough Phoenix Suns team. They showed perseverance and they came back, and I definitely got to give credit to them. So congrats to Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, that was their second time coming back from 0-2, because they were down 0-2 against the Brooklyn Nets, and they took that devastating loss where they lost by like damn near 50 points. So congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. I was not rooting for the Milwaukee Bucks. I really don't find their style of basketball very exciting, but it is very hard to root against Giannis, because you see the hard work that he's put in, and you saw that motor in his back, man. Like, he took over that game 6 and he said, nope, we are not going back to Phoenix. So congratulations. I don't know if they're going to get a second one, because there's been a lot of moves in the NBA. The Lakers got stronger. And I just found out the Knicks picked up Kemba Walker, man. So the Knicks are, I don't know if they're going to win a championship, but they're definitely going to be more exciting to watch.
Right. Have you been watching the Olympics at all, Russ?
Nah, you know what, B? I don't have cable down here. And when I was home in Kansas City, I just really haven't been able to get into the Olympics this year. If it's on, then I may watch a little bit of it. If I'm at a bar and it's on, then I'll watch it. But, you know, I have been following the Simone Biles situation, and kudos to her for realizing that, you know, her mentor wasn't there. And that's something that the gymnastics, through her story, I've heard about them not really knowing where they are in space, you know, just kind of feeling off kilter. And you definitely don't want to be doing those flips and twists, not knowing where you are in space, because that could end very tragic.
Yeah. She was dealing with what they call the twisties. And it's very similar to, you know, it's a mental block, just similar to where, like, when shortstops, you know, when they can't throw the first all of a sudden, and, you know,
Right.
like when the golfers have the yips or something like that,
Yep.
you know, like it's just this real weird mental thing. And she posted videos of her practicing on the uneven bars. I don't know if you saw it, and she was literally landing flat on her back, and like, her butt, like she was, she deleted it, but you can still, it's out there. She showed herself practicing, and she was like literally just landing flat on her back, and it, you know, they had the big plush mats, you know, so
Right.
she was safe, but it was, she was in no space to compete. And, the fact that she was able to finally come back and get the bronze medal just shows how mentally tough she was, and just how, great of an athlete that she was. So congratulations to Simone Biles. And
it came out right before the beam. I just saw this morning, B, that her aunt passed away unexpectedly. So, you know, anytime you're dealing with that unexpected loss, that's tough. So congrats to the gymnastics team.
And to all the Olympians,
who
are winning gold and silver and bronze, you know, and representing our country. So, Russ, let me ask you something. Are you into art at all, Russ?
Man, I love art. You know, one of my
I see you got a Tiffany B. Chanel behind you. I see you got a Brooklyn. You got the Mars Blackman.
The Mars Blackman. Yeah,
okay.
Man. So, you know, Tiffany B. Chanel represented in the background. But yeah, man, I love art. And that's one of those things that I really want to take up when I find the time, you know, just to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know if you noticed about me, but I kind of got into art probably about 4 or 5 years ago. My friend Nairi, who has called into the show, she's an art curator, and she is really into art. And when we became friends, you know, she kind of put me on the art game. And, you know, that's when I became exposed to the legendary artists like Basquiat and, you know, Banksy and all of that kind of stuff. And like I said, she's an art curator. So she needed some pictures done for her website. And, you know, I don't really shoot pictures of people. I'm a photographer, but I do more landscape photography, drone photography, and video work and stuff like that. So I don't feel comfortable really charging my friends for work, but she needed some pictures done. And in return, she said, okay, well, I know you're not going to let me pay you, but let me get you like a piece of art, you know, to kind of get your art game up. So she got me this super dope, Michael Jordan painting, and it was by this artist, Robert Bruno. And, I went to his website. I checked out some of his work. He had some really interesting pieces. And I actually ended up getting like 2 more. I got a LeBron James. I got a Jimi Hendrix. And, you know, I actually really just became a big fan of his work. So I hit him up and asked him if he would come on the show. And he said yes. So I'm excited. Coming up, we will have our next guest. And I believe he's based out of New York, too. So it might be a little NYC connection there. So coming up next, I'm excited. We have Mr. Robert Bruno. Coming up next, we have one of my favorite artists. He's a commercial illustrator whose clients include Disney, UFC, FX, Major League Baseball, ESPN, and the Indiana Pacers. He is able to capture amazing lifelike images ranging from your favorite sports athlete to your all-time favorite superhero. And he is joining us now on the show. Please give a warm From New York to the Chi welcome to Robert Bruno. Bruno, what's good, man?
Well, how's it going, fellas? It's good to be here.
Nice to have you, Bruno. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, we know you had some technical
Likewise.
issues, so thank you for joining us and powering through. We appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem. Happy we got it to work.
Great, great. All right, so let's just get right into it. For a novice like me who is just getting into art and doesn't know the technical terms, what's the difference between an artist and an illustrator?
I think artist would just be like, if it's one of those like umbrella charts, like artist would be the top, and then obviously you're going to have some specifications like, you know, photography, painter, sculptor, illustrator. So an illustrator is a type of artist. What my job is for my clients is usually there has to be some kind of narrative involved where, you know, they're utilizing my style to represent a character or subject, but then I'm usually tasked with adding some kind of story behind it. So there's like the storytelling element within a single piece. I think that's that would be the really condensed definition of an illustrator.
Okay, great, great. And tell us a little bit about how you got started in your career. Did you always want to be an artist? And what were some of the obstacles that you encountered before you were able to score top-notch clients like Disney, Major League Baseball, and the UFC?
Yeah, it's a great question. To start, I have been drawing since I was a kid, so I had an early love and an early appreciation for it. I remember way back when I was 5, 6 years old, I'd just be laying on my parents' floor, just doodling like trains, sharks, dinosaurs, and then that kind of progressed into superheroes. I know when I was coming up, the Pokemon cards had just come out.
Yeah.
So I would do like these whole sheets just with like a black fine tip pen, just kind of taking the card and just kind of drawing what I saw. And it kind of just progressed from there. By the time I was a junior in high school, I knew I had already given serious thought to pursuing it professionally. So my college search then was pretty much all art colleges and art institutes. And then I ended up going to Pratt Institute right here in Brooklyn, pretty much where I currently live. I majored in
right down the street.
It was called communications design. Yeah. And communications design included a mix of illustration, advertising, and graphic design. So they kind of spearheaded those three together, and then you kind of focus in on one of the three. And then after graduating Pratt, that was where the term starving artist came into play big time. I really didn't have much success of any kind for close to 3 years. I was trying to network. I was utilizing LinkedIn. I knew I wanted to do sports type work, entertainment, you know, Marvel, Disney, all that, film posters. But it was hard getting your foot in the door. I would reach out to art directors, and the response I would always get would be, you know, we like your work. We need somebody with a little bit more experience.
Right.
Which for me, that was always just kind of tough. I'm like, well, if nobody's going to give me a shot to get any experience, you know, how am I supposed to get there?
Get the experience.
So it was kind of just it was a frustrating time. And then finally if I graduated in 2012, the end of 2014, finally, I got an email back from the Philadelphia Eagles, and it just so happened that they needed an illustrator to do some kind of like artwork for their season ticket holder campaign. In addition to some of their photography, they wanted to include like painted images of some of their players, and that kind of just got the ball rolling.
Nice.
Wow. That kind of leads me into my question, Bruno. I love the perseverance that you had during this time, because as a starving actor and, you know, not really putting my all into it because I needed to pay those bills, were there other things that you thought about during that time that, okay, I can possibly do this, or I can see myself doing this? You know, I know that the art and the painting and the drawings were your passion, but you know, they weren't paying the bills at that time.
They certainly weren't. At the time, I think so from 2012 to 2014, and even after I did the job for the Eagles, I had 2 part-time jobs, like throughout those 2.5 years, 3 years. And then I actually came very close to joining the police department.
Wow.
That's what my father did. He always kind of presented it as a backup idea. I always got good grades. He said the writing exam is passable. You just have to take, I was always in decent shape. So it was a matter of passing a physical, a psychological exam. So when I first graduated, what started out as like a backup idea, as time went on, it was kind of like, hey, you should probably consider this. And that was tough. I've always had a really good relationship with my parents. So it was the first time there was any kind of, rift, in terms of just how we see eye to eye in my future and all that. In my head, I'm like, well, I do think I have a talent. It's only been a year or two since I graduated from a very prestigious school. I think I need to exhaust all of my options, before I change course entirely.
Right. I love it, man. I love it. What other creative outlets do you have, Bruno, that you like doing? I mean, you've been doing drawing and doodling since you was 5 to 6 years old. Are there any other creative outlets that you like to do?
There's like different aspects that just run in my family. My sister is also incredibly talented. She also went to Pratt Institute. She does more like graphic design and photography. So we both got it from both of our grandfathers on both my mom and my dad's side. They didn't do art professionally, but they could both just draw really, really well. Very technically proficient. And my grandfather, different kind of art. He was a professional musician. So that creative gene, I think, is kind of just in my family line.
Right, just runs through and through.
As far as myself, I dabbled with music when I was younger, but for me, I honed it. I was just grateful that I was able to choose industries that I was really passionate about and really find work in both of them. I was a mediocre athlete in high school. All of my friends were the star athletes. So in a way, this is kind of like the closest I could get to, living out all that.
Right. Now, my first introduction to your art was a Michael Jordan piece that I have. Now, I also have a LeBron James as well as a fantastic.
Which one? Is that the one I did?
It's the red and white one where he has the Jordan 5s on, I believe, and he's just kind of flying through the air.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. I love that.
It kind of has like the angled.
It's the angle, the back. It has like the Jordan is kind of cut off the jersey.
Very pleased.
Yeah. So I also have the LeBron that you did. I also have the Jimi Hendrix that you did. So it leads me to my question: what's your favorite type of art? Is it sports? Is it music, or is it some other genre? Like, what do you like to paint? Do you have a favorite?
It's tough because I could look at that from my favorite like commercial clients to work with. Looking back at like some of the projects I've been really lucky enough to work on, or just if I was sitting down to do a personal project, which doesn't happen often anymore. It's tough because then I really do like doing the film poster type stuff too, like with the montages. But I would probably always look to do something cool and illustrative, more like graphic with sports.
Okay.
I just think there's a million artists that do amazing like pop culture, entertainment type stuff. I think the sports industry is still fairly underrepresented in terms of illustration work. They have beautiful photographers on every team. I always try to sell it. I'm like, let's use the amazing photography work you have, but let's supplement that with some really cool dynamic illustrations.
Right.
And that seemed to been working out.
Nice. Go ahead, Russ.
Oh, okay, cool. Have you ever had a painting, Bruno, that you were working on that kind of brought you to a sad place, or it was an emotional project or emotional painting?
That's a good question. 2020 was a really interesting year because I had to really pivot everything I had been doing for the previous 4 years, with the pandemic. I typically go to about 10 comic conventions every year to exhibit my work. That's always been a source of my income. Those were just shut down. I had been doing a job for the Chicago Cubs for the opening day of the baseball season. That was gone within 24 hours. The job I did for the Pacers, I was supposed to go out there for a signing. That was canceled. So very quickly, 2 out of my 3 kind of like revenue streams were pretty much canceled. So it was stressful, but it also allowed me to refocus. And that was the time I had to kind of work on myself, do some personal projects that I just hadn't had the time to get done. So that's where a lot of the music pieces came out.
Yeah.
Those I did all during, the heavy months of quarantine.
Okay.
And, there were just some, like my favorite band has always been Queen. So while I was working on the Freddie Mercury piece, it was just like, I had the music blasting in the background, and, my thoughts just always just went with, man, I wish I could have seen them, I wish I could have heard them live. It was nice though. I think I was able to kind of channel some of that raw, energy, emotion into the painting, which is always good.
Nice, Bruno. You answered one of my later questions on what do you listen to while you do your thing, man. So I'm taking it you listen to a lot of Queen.
I do. Queen, I got a record player about a year ago. That was one of my quarantine purchases.
Nice.
So I knew I wanted to get all their albums. Yeah. It's funny. Everybody knows all their hits, but what's amazing about just putting an album on is just discovering all the other songs.
Yeah.
There's 2 hits on the album that
right.
And then it's just discovering, listening to the lyrics, what they're singing about. I think Queen is really good at storytelling throughout the entire album, so that was really interesting to hear. So yeah, if it's a lot of classic rock. I do like alternative rock. I will do rap and hip hop sometimes, because now I started a Biggie Smalls illustration a couple weeks ago. And then I got slammed for commercial work, but that's top of my list for either this month or next month. So normally what I try to do, whatever I'm working on, I try to just inundate myself as much as I can. If I'm working on a superhero, I have, either the themes, the album with the original soundtrack playing, or I just have the movie playing in the background.
Nice.
I like, even if it's just mental, I like that reinforcement, so I'm just totally immersed in the subject matter.
Fully locked in. I like that, Bruno.
Yeah, you kind of almost touched on my next question. Take us through the process of creating a piece, through your process of creating a piece. Is there a particular method that you use when you're creating your art?
I don't think it's anything like out of the ordinary. If I have enough time, I like to do a graphite drawing, with actual pencil instead of sketching digitally. A lot of the times with the commercial work, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just sketching in Photoshop using one of my tablets. And the way it typically works for a client is I submit either 1 or up to 3 different sketches with different compositions, different layouts. We kind of go over that. They provide me with some notes and feedback, and then from there we settle on one, and then I'll kind of do what's called a black and white comprehensive, where I get all the basic tones in there, and they can just see where, the lights and the darks are interacting, and all that. Then I submit that. Once that's approved and I get any notes, then I do a color com, which kind of lays out the overall palette of the piece. Then it's another kind of back and forth. And then from there, I'm doing all the detail work and bringing it up to a final draft. once the final draft is approved, I do any revisions, and then it's just the final illustration.
Nice. So what would you say is your inspiration? Like, what are you passionate about? Like, what really inspires you in this art game?
Yeah, for me, it is the subject matter I've chosen and the fields I'm in. I've always been a sports fan, so to be able to kind of take that early passion and extend it into another passion, which has always been art, and kind of meld the two together.
Right.
That's still super special for me to think about. Even in school, one of my goals was to work with the individual teams, and so far those have been some of my favorite jobs to do. I've always had really good experiences with the creative teams, and they're always just super passionate, because anybody that works for that team is like a diehard, whatever team that is, fan. So there's just a lot of good energy. And then in the same respect, Spider-Man and other characters like that were some of the earliest things I was drawing as a kid. So to look at some of my doodles from when I was just a young kid to now looking at an official piece I did for Marvel of Spider-Man, that's just really special to me. And I always feel very humbled and just very grateful for the journey I've had so far.
And really quickly, have you ever met any of the athletes who you've done these drawings and illustrations of? And if so, like, what were their reactions?
I've never had a negative reaction. Okay. I've probably met more of the like superhero actors and actresses from Comic-Cons. That's a little bit more direct. The one interaction I had with an athlete that was really cool was I did a job for Visa for like a Super Bowl spot where George Kittle, the whole idea of the campaign was that they just came out with that, the tap and pay feature on the credit card. So the campaign was, with all this time you could save by, just tapping your card instead of inserting the chip and all that, it was, you could learn how to paint. So in the commercial, they had George Kittle like painting, and what he was painting was the piece, that I did. Okay. So after the commercial went live, it came out really good.
I saw that commercial.
And he signed it at the bottom, he signed it at the bottom, GK. So I messaged him on Instagram. I'm like, hey, what are you doing signing my painting?
That's cool.
He got all embarrassed, and he was really cool about it. He's like, oh, was it okay? Like, did I do a good job? I'm like, yeah, man, it looked awesome. I'm just, breaking your chaps.
Yeah. Nice. Bruno,
but everybody's always been,
You mentioned that you're a big sports fan. When Brian sent over your Instagram, I scrolled through and I saw one of my favorite NFL stars. I'm from Kansas City, so I know you know who that is. But you did a painting of Patrick Mahomes, and you picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl for last year. But unfortunately, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had a little issue with that. So they went ahead and won the Super Bowl. Who are you picking for this year's Super Bowl? I hope it's still Kansas City, because we're coming back.
I think it's most likely going to be the same four in the conference championships. I didn't want to bet against Kansas City last year. I don't want to bet against Kansas City again. I know every year we talk about, Tom Brady's getting old.
Right.
And it's so hard to bet against Tom Brady while he's still playing, but I don't know. I think Patrick's going to come back fired up. They still have an incredible team, so my pick would still be on the Chiefs this year.
All right, hopefully we can make that happen. But Tom Brady, they say that every year he's lost a step, but then he finds his way in the Super Bowl and wins it.
Honestly, so. I think that just fuels him.
It does.
I think he encourages that.
Right, he's one of those special ones like Jordan. The more people doubt him,
the doubt,
the stronger they're going to come.
Yeah.
All right. Now, did you have anything else, Russ?
No.
Okay. All right. So lastly, I know that many of your prints are limited editions. You can get the little numbers on the bottom showing exactly which number that is of how many were created, which is really dope. For people who collect art, can you explain to them the benefit of not oversaturating the market with your prints? And how do you decide on how many prints you want to create for a particular piece?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I first started selling prints, and actually that's kind of a cool backstory. Maybe we can jump back to that
absolutely.
in a sec. But when I first started selling prints, I got involved with a few like pop culture type galleries. And they did these themed shows, whether it be for a specific genre, specific movie, director, and everybody would kind of do a tribute. And I just noticed that all the prints were limited edition. And so I just kind of got involved with some of my peers. Just a lot of them were older than me at the time, so I was just asking them a ton of questions. It was a nice, hands-on learning process. They're like, well, if people like your art and they collect, they appreciate that things are limited and that there's only a finite amount of them.
Exactly.
And the number they get is theirs and there's no other one. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, okay, that makes sense. So for most everything I release, I just started doing that. The only thing I've changed is I've just started increasing the edition sizes just because, I want my stuff to be limited, have that kind of, finite appeal to it. But I don't want to sell out of something within an hour of releasing it. So then, people that really did want it, like now they don't have an opportunity. Also, because I go to comic conventions and all that, I don't want to run out of stuff before I have a chance to bring it to, some of those big shows where there's going to be diehard fans there. And that's the opportunity for me to network and interact with, new fans. So I try to just make the edition sizes high enough so that I do well on the initial drop when I release a print. But then, if somebody sees it a month later, they're not going to look on my site and see sold out and then, get bummed out. So I try to make it fair. I've really tried to stay pretty consistent about really not raising my prices all that much in the last couple of years because I do want the work to be affordable and accessible for virtually everybody. That's kind of just how I go about.
And I just want
to the edition sizes and.
I just want to commend you on that point that you just made, because for someone who is just kind of entry level, just kind of getting into the art game, it can be very intimidating and very daunting when, you see a piece that you like and it's like $500-600, like right off the bat, so the fact that, I can get a nice piece for $100 or, even cheaper, that I really like. It makes it really cool, and it gives you a little bit more confidence about kind of dipping your toe, so to speak, in the water, of kind of collecting pieces. And it's also cool that cause I got the LeBron that you did, and it's really cool to be like, okay, I have number 8 of 15, ever made, that's really, you're showing off, this is kind of cool,
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
There are people that as soon as they order something on my site, they message me or email me right away, and they request certain numbers.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's like a small percentage of people, but there are some that take it really, really seriously with their lucky number, or if it's a series, having matching numbers on all the pieces in a series. Like I understand that. But yeah, it's something that requires very little extra work on my part, but I think it goes a long way in establishing, just some personability and relationships with, anybody that purchases prints and all my patrons. So, I'm happy to do what I can.
Bruno, you're making me miss my Brooklyn apartment with that exposed brick in the background.
Oh, yeah.
It does look like,
Pulp Fiction poster, right?
Yeah, I like that Pulp Fiction. That's a nice piece. That is a nice piece.
Thank you.
Since this show is called From New York to the Chi, and you're in Brooklyn, I'm just curious, what's your favorite Brooklyn restaurant that you like to go to, or in the city? But I kind of want to keep it Brooklyn since you live in Brooklyn.
All right, well, I'll give you two because
Okay.
I know this is what everybody always asks me. If I want like the best, either pie or slice of pizza, I'm gonna make a trip and I'm gonna go out to Spumoni Gardens.
Okay.
In my mind, that's hands down the best pizza in Brooklyn.
Okay.
If I want a nice sit-down dinner, I'm always into Italian food is my favorite cuisine, and Brooklyn is certainly full of those. So
Yes.
there's a place in Williamsburg called Luca, and I am a little bit biased because one of my buddies is the executive chef there.
Okay.
But I've never not been blown away by the meal I've had there. So anytime I have somebody visit, take them there. They have a nice rooftop bar too.
Okay.
It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful interior too. So that would be my pick.
When I'm back in September, I'm going to go check those two spots out, man.
Oh, please
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah, let me know.
Yes, definitely, Bruno.
Nice. All right. And so what we're going to do, we're going to get you out of here. But what we want to do is we do a rapid fire segment. So Russ, if you can he is setting his watch.
I'm setting my watch right now.
All right. Take a drink.
Take a drink. We give you 1 minute on the clock. These are rapid fire. Don't think about it. Just give us an answer. It's 20 questions. So we'll see how many you can get through.
I'm going to give you a countdown, Bruno. Okay. 3,
All right.
2, 1. You're on the clock.
What's the first thing you do or think about when you wake up?
Check social media.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Pizza or wings?
Pizza.
New York or LA?
New York.
Name an item every artist should own.
A pencil.
Picasso or Basquiat?
Basquiat.
Name an artist that's inspired you.
Drew Struzan.
Painting or drawing?
Drawing.
If you could choose any superpower, what would it be? You're running out of time.
I've always liked Magneto. I'll do the controlled metal.
Okay, name one characteristic that makes a good artist.
Ambition.
Choose one word to describe your art.
Eclectic.
What
And
sound?
that is time.
Okay, so last question. We always ask everybody, if heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say when you walk through the pearly gates?
Oh, jeez. I just want to know that I did the best I could do with the time I had.
I like that answer, Bruno.
Nice. Robert Bruno, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time. We appreciate you bearing through us with all the technical difficulties and, thanks for making it happen. We're definitely going to keep an eye on you and, just seeing what great things you do in the future.
Thank you both. It was a pleasure to be on, and thank you for all the support. And I definitely will be reaching out to pick out one of those drawings, Bruno. So I'm thinking about that, Mahomes. All right. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining the show. Great interview. It was really interesting to hear about his background and just what inspires him when it comes to art. So thank you so much for joining the show. We really appreciate it. And Russ, what'd you think about that interview?
It was a pretty dope interview, man. I definitely will be checking out some of his work. I saw on his Instagram that he has a Patrick Mahomes. So definitely will be, trying to see what's good with that one, man, and get that up on the wall here in Miami or BK.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Russ, we've been gone for a minute. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you. You know what I'm saying? But, we are back. And if people want to support the show, what should they do?
Nothing's changed, B. We might have taken a small intermission, but I still want you guys to subscribe. Me and Brian want you guys to click that button, subscribe, trying to get our followers up, trying to get our subscriptions up. I hope this second season brings more interaction with the people, with our fans that listen. Like, call in, subscribe, call in, tell a friend, because we're trying to make this grow. We've already completed our first season. Now we're into our second season, and we're just trying to get better for our listeners.
Absolutely. And also, if people want to call into the show, you can either, if you actually have our personal information, you can just always send us text with voicemails, or you can send us an email, a voicemail at FromNYCToTheChi@gmail.com. That's FromNYCTOTheChi@gmail.com. Give us a question, a comment, say whatever's on your mind. We're always just happy to hear from you guys. And I think that's pretty much it, Russ. Anything else?
I think we hit it all, man. I think we hit it all. Just everybody be safe. Be safe out there and be smart. This Delta strand is kind of making a appearance, and it's coming back. So just be smart and protect yourselves.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Again, this is season 2 From NYC to the Chi. So happy to be back. Thank you guys for listening. And we want to say thank you to the people who listened to the shows while we were on break. And to echo Rustin's sentiments, we are happy to be back, and we're just looking forward to having another great season for you guys. So, as we always say, peace and blessings.
Please, peace and blessings, everyone. Next week, we will see you.
Living life and grinding every day. That's the way I play. Never mind what the haters say. Chasing paper today.